Hello everybody. Today I am working on 3 little plaques. Well, I start out working on several more, but I finished 3 in this video. These are about 4 inches by 4 inches, and this is a mixed media project. You can see I'm putting down paper with matte gel medium, and I started out trying to use neutral colors. My mom has an adorable shop in Minnesota where she sells mostly primitives at their farm. They do occasional sales, I think 4 or 5 times a year. And I like to put stuff in there, but she prefers that it be primitive to fit in with her stuff, and unfortunately I don't have it in me to do these neutral colors. I had good intentions when I started this project, and then I got these papers down and I froze. I just could not figure out what to do next. And so, sorry Mom, I just decided that I would go ahead and make them colorful. So here we go. Now we're going to start putting down the acrylic paints because I just love color these days. I don't know what it is, but so I have about probably 3 or 4 different brands of acrylic paint going on during this, and you can see I'm not being very particular about where I put it. I'm just getting the base color down and rubbing it in with my fingers. Fingers are such a great tool. And as you can see, lots and lots of color. This was interesting. I put some purple down, and I am not accustomed to working with purple. I enjoy the color, but it's not something that I use very often, and so I thought I would branch out a little bit and get some purple down. I think later I end up covering up quite a bit of it, but you know, it's a process. And at this point I really don't know exactly where I'm going with these. All I knew was color. You can see that green that I put down with the purple. We went and saw Alice Through the Looking Glass the other night, and I was noticing Johnny Depp's makeup had a lot of green and purple, and I thought, oh, that's an interesting color combination. I should try that in my paintings. But ultimately I didn't really love how it turned out. So I'm just scraping on some different colors with like a credit card. It's actually a membership card to a really neat botanical garden that we have here in Tucson called Tohono Chul, and we were members of that last year. I didn't really go that often, so I haven't renewed it, but it's a really neat place to go. And putting down some polka dots with this stencil and makeup sponge. Just random. And alright, so this is gesso, and I'm gonna do a series of hearts with the gesso, and the reason I am doing that first is so that when I put down the color, I'm going to do really bright colored hearts, and I really wanted them to have good contrast. So I'll probably have to put down 5 or 6 layers of paint if I don't do the gesso first, so that's really helpful. Alright, here we go with the color. Starting out with a lime green. And I was inspired by a picture I saw on Pinterest. I don't remember. It was a big painting that had these hearts, had way more hearts than what I'm putting on here, but they were hanging down in the painting. They were hanging by strings, and I just thought it was a beautiful picture, so I wanted to try that. I'm just outlining these with black acrylic paint. You can see that my attempt at neutral painting really seriously failed at this point. And now I'm just going in with another layer of color to make sure I have really good coverage. And there I've drawn the lines. They're a little hard to see, so I'm going to go back over them. And that is a Spectrum alcohol ink marker that I just went around everything with. These are words that I just typed out and printed on my laser printer, and then I took yellow distress ink, mixed it with water to make it not so intense, and put that over the paper to make it just not be a white text box. I used to do everything with a white text box, and now it bothers me for some reason. I don't know what that's about, but so this is just gold paint that I'm going over the black string lines with, and it's really hard to see in the video, but in person it looks neat. Drawing everything. I need to get a metallic paint marker of some sort. I think that would be a good tool for me to have. Again, I didn't used to do a lot with metallics, but now all of a sudden I find myself drawn to the shiny stuff. I want more glitter, I want metallics. I don't know what that's about, but that's okay. I think we go through phases with our art supplies and styles and whatnot. Don't want to get bored. So this is just white acrylic paint, and I'm just going through and putting a little shine mark on each heart. And then I'm like, it needs something. What does it need? What does it need? And I decide that it must need some white splatters, which kind of neat. It kind of looks like I'm moving on to the next one here, but it kind of looks like twinkle lights at night. So on this one I've just put down some embossing powder on a butterfly stamp. Isn't that magical? I love embossing powder. And then I'm going to go in and color that butterfly, paint that butterfly I should say, with yellow paint. And the embossing just helps, you know, it raises the surface level, and it just makes a really nice impact. And I think I actually go in and do 2 coats, yeah, to make it pretty vibrant. I won't say make it pop because I know that that drives some people crazy. You know who you are. Okay, and here I'm gonna do, I had leftover of that yellow distress, so I just sprayed some water on it and reactivated it and painted over my text box again. And then I'm doing a smaller butterfly up in the corner. It's a little harder to see. I actually tried to emboss that one as well, but something on my painting kept being sticky and I could not get a clear stamp. The embossing powder was sticking to the whole painting and that just didn't work, so I eventually gave up on that and just painted it flat. And time to put the words on with matte gel medium. And the reason I'm using the gel is because I printed this out on heavier cardstock rather than just printer paper, so it just needs a little more stick. to really make sure it's adhered well. The matte fluid medium works just fine for the printer paper, but not so much for the cardstock. And just outlining everything again with first my slick marker, and then my alcohol Spectrum Noir alcohol marker, which just gives it a nice shadow effect. And then I'm rubbing on some gold paint for shimmer. I told you I was into the sparkles lately, I don't know. And that's my slick writer going around making a border. And actually I wasn't happy with how thick that was, so I went back over it with Sharpie. I'm missing my bold marker, my bold slick writer marker. I'm not sure what happened to it. Actually, I have two of them that I'm missing. It's kind of weird. Alright, moving on to the next painting. Putting the gesso down in the shape of a heart and drying it. And then some red paint. You can see I started with the Liquitex Basics and then just switched over to a craft paint. I have no idea why. I don't try to understand why I do the things I do. Just go with it. And cutting out the words, outlining the heart with the slick writer. And getting everything positioned. Trying to figure out where I want it. I'm not much of a planner. I'm very intuitive, just putting things together as I go. And then I picked up a little bit of the yellow ink on there too, so that text box ended up being yellow as well. And then I've just embossed a dragonfly stamp onto there. And I'm going to go in with some blue and white, mix those together and sprayed a little bit of water on it so that it was thinner and a little bit kind of transparent. I don't know, I guess if I had watercolors maybe I would have used those, but the thinned out acrylic paint seems to work pretty well for that. And outlining my text box again. Just kind of did this in a series. I thought, you know, it would be fun to see what came out of basically starting with 3 very similar plaques and then seeing the end results. That's the alcohol marker again. And another coat of that nice watered down acrylic paint for the dragonfly wings. And some little star stamps. And then I decided it really, that heart was kind of bare. So I know you can't really see it too good. Oh, there you can see it a little better, but I put some a stamp of writing on there. And that is it. Condensed that all down to less than 15 minutes. If you enjoyed this, please give me a thumbs up or comment or subscribe. That helps me out, and I look forward to seeing you over on Facebook. These are all going to be available on Etsy until they sell. Thanks so much.